Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Zach Celadonia.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and joining me right here to my, I guess, depends what side you're looking at this. I guess you're to my right. Who is this guy? New phone. Who this? It's Zach Celadonia, or as we affectionately call him, now even a year older, Flash. What's up, man?
What's up? What's up? I'm glad to be back. Glad to be talking to you. Glad to be talking to anybody, honestly, because I just got home from my day job not too long ago, and I don't talk about my day job too often on here because who really cares what I'm doing if it's not Steelers related? And at my day job, it can get pretty boring some days, and the conversations that I have are minimal with people. So it's nice to get my juices flowing here and actually conversate with a fellow human being.
I mean, what are you talking about, day job? This is all we do. Like, you know, I'm not Oz pulling back the curtain or anything, but it's really not all we do. So like, comment, and subscribe, share. So maybe it could be someday. You never know. No, we appreciate.
Go back and like the old shows. Too.
Yeah. Go back, watch
You're
those.
never too late.
No, you know what? They call that in the marketing world evergreen content, like evergreen, like a tree, like it doesn't die. Like during the regular season, like I totally get it. It's like you put something up and like 2 days later it's old. Now that does happen every now and then. I think we did like a show like around maybe Allen Robinson got traded to the Steelers, or there was like some big news, and I'm like, SOBs, you always wait. It's like when I wash the car, and then it's going to rain or a bird's going to come out or, you know, something like that just because I washed the car. And that always happens when we record. So, by the way, happy Memorial Day weekend. Hope it treated you well. We were just talking about leftovers and food and whatnot off air here just briefly. And yeah, I'm looking forward to eating some more of that stuff. So hopefully, I think maybe just one show this week. Maybe. I don't know. It depends. Brian's been getting ornery, man. He's been getting a little antsy. So he's been pushing you off the airwaves just a little bit. Our schedules weren't just lining up. We did have a happy birthday to you, but we also, you know what? Got to talk about the other Zach. I was talking about like yet another Zach, like we're talking about, you know, real life and, you know, the regular job here. And I was like, every Zach I know spells their name different. But if you remember the professor, and I know you do because we still talk to him backrooms, but he hasn't been out in front of camera for a little while. And that's just because he just got engaged. So I feel weird about it because it's like, congratulations, here's the person you're with the rest of your life. The old ball and chain. But congratulations, bro.
Yeah, congratulations. That's sick.
Yeah, he's probably not paying attention. He's busy coaching football and living the dream, whatever that might be.
He just got engaged. He's going to be very busy for a long time.
Very busy until there's kids. Just you wait. You wait. You'll be able to relate someday. I know you just turned 21 or whatever it was. I was worried that you may have.
Oh God, dude, I love you. Yeah. 23 actually.
No, you're not 23. Get the hell out of here.
Dude, I'm 29.
I know you're not. I knew you were closer. You're pushing the 30s. Trust me, man. I'm feeling it now. Chiropractor's got me all like I thought he broke my neck this morning. So that's just like that's the state of affairs here in the Kuzma household. So just to let you know, this won't be, I don't know, it could be a fast show or it might not be a fast show. So I think we should get on topic. We've talked about Steelers quarterbacks quite a bit. I thought this would be a fun one because, you know, we got to come up with something to talk about. It's the off season. We're almost into June, and happy belated Memorial Day weekend to everybody else that's out there. We're going to compare the Steelers quarterback room with the rest of the NFL. And it's because I've been seeing over the last week or two, just ridiculous stuff like Mitch Trubisky's only ranked like, I don't know, it's probably Pro Football Focus and that goof that runs it over there, multiple goofs. Like, oh, he's like the 15th best backup quarterback in the NFL. And it's like, no, that probably isn't right. And I'm sick of seeing Kenny listed in like the 20s. I think like, I don't want to misappropriate whoever may have said it. So I'm just throwing names out. It doesn't mean that they're the ones. Somebody will be like 33rd team didn't have Kenny Pickett ranked 28th. They had him ranked 27th. That's like, come on, man. Like there's like all these rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. It's like by default, it can't be that bad. So I'm going to homer it up. We're going to be a little biased. Let's start with the AFC North. Baltimore Ravens, their room. Well, let's start with the Steelers room. Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph, right? For all intents and purposes. We'll just go with the top
Three-headed monster.
Three-headed monster. There might be four-headed monsters somewhere. All depending. I'm pulling lists. Just hopefully everything I got here is it's correct. I hope so. So, but there you go. That's what the Steelers have. We've had a lot to talk about it already. Myself, Brian, you've talked about it. Last year we talked about it enough to probably last us for 3 more years. But I mean, they brought back Mitchell Trubisky gets extended. I'm cool with that. Mason Rudolph is back for another year. You got the emergency quarterback rule that's being put into place, trial for a year as well. So you have a guy that's going to be at least dressed and could be on the field, and that's why this is important to compare right now because
that's good timing. That's really good timing with bringing Mason back in that rule passing that you can dress a third quarterback now or an emergency quarterback for the game where in years past that wasn't allowed. And the Niners with the Brock Purdy incident in the playoffs is kind of what got that wheel spinning. But the fact that Mason was brought back right around the time that rule passed, you have to believe those two situations may be connected in some sort of way. Maybe the Steelers knew that the rule was passing already. I'm sure the NFL and higher-ups are aware of a lot of things that are coming and are passed already before we, the public, know. So I think it's possible that they brought Mason back with intentions of him making the 53 because they're like, well, we got this. We have an emergency quarterback we can use now by all rights and we don't have to dress him or we have the right to dress him without it hurting the rest of our numbers.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure. And they knew it was going to come to a vote. It wasn't like they had like no inkling that it was at least on the table. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's, I guess that's the best way to put it for that. But yeah, Kenneth Shane Pickett, first of his name. Man, I'll tell you, here's the one thing I did want to talk about with you, I think, was we were originally talking, man, we talk quarterbacks too much. They didn't have to give up anything to get this guy. So that's going to be like another thing that weighs the skills of balance with all of this. You know what I mean? I mean, we could talk about, oh, well, look at this quarterback room. And it's like, well, does that future look that good? Do they have other pieces to put around this dude? So sticking with the AFC North, Lamar Jackson is back. Big contract. Tyler Huntley, Anthony Brown, Josh Johnson, like his
Pro
eighth
Bowler,
time.
Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley.
Oh my God, 2 former Pro Bowlers on the same roster. Clearly, this is a superior group of passer. I mean, okay, you got to give Lamar his due. He was an MVP. Lamar is like, I don't call him a running back, but we all know he's different. He's not the guy that's just going to stand back there and pass. He hasn't finished the last 2 seasons healthy. And now he's got this giant contract. So I kind of put that in there. Would you take Lamar over Kenny Pickett at this point with that contract and the injury history? That would be tough for me. It would be. I mean, you would have to consider if the Steelers, but I mean, just without having the Steelers having to give up any capital to have like a Lamar Jackson, you have to change the whole team. Somebody's gonna be like, you're really smoking Lamar Jackson. Is this far and above? And it's like, well, if he only plays 6 games this season and he eats up all of this cap room, which is coming, yeah, I'm sure. I got to look this up. I'm sure he probably.
I know you so well, Joe. Yeah. Man, I swear to God, when I was sitting here waiting for you to call on Skype, I was like, if we're going to be ranking the AFC North quarterback rooms, I have a general idea of how I'm going to do it, but what's going to really put me in a corner are these, like, would you prefer Lamar over Kenny? Because I'm a self-proclaimed Lamar guy. I am a fan of his game. I think he's a great player, a great quarterback. The way you put it, though, calling him different and not, like, in a real negative way, I think that's a perfect way to describe it, where, like, I think Lamar's great, and I think I would, gun to my head, it's so circumstantial, you know? Like, if you're talking about, like, one game and, like, Lamar's 100% healthy and I'm not worried about the money he's making because it's one game, I probably would still take Lamar over Kenny right now in this present day, given what I've seen on the field in the NFL so far. I mean, Lamar won an MVP. That's not breaking news to anybody. So I know what he can do, and I know his ceiling. Kenny, I'm excited for Kenny, and I'm a huge Kenny guy, and I think he's a franchise quarterback. I think he's the future of this team. But it's hard for me to sell myself on honestly saying that I would take, you know, Kenny with 10 or 11 starts, whatever it is under his belt, over a former MVP candidate.
Yeah,
but it's
fair.
Circumstantial because, like you said, the injuries, repeated injuries now at this point, his money especially, those are huge factors. And given the fact that Kenny is young, i.e. cheap, And he's shown, I believe anyway, in his first year that he has what it takes to be a franchise quarterback. If it's like to set my team up now for the future, I would go Kenny. So it's a really tough question to ask. I know they ask that kind of question on all the shows and everything, but it really is super circumstantial. I think the Steelers quarterback room, though, is better. I have no problem saying that because I joke about Tyler Huntley making the Pro Bowl. Honestly, they should have picked Kenny over him, ironically relating to this conversation. But they went with Tyler Huntley for the Pro Bowl. I would rather have Mitch than Tyler Huntley, and I'd rather have Mason than Josh Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was getting there as far as the full room and the whole context. Everything you said, nothing wrong there. Lamar more seasoned, but let's talk about this too with the limited. So Lamar, was it 12 games last 2 years? And his passing, when he won this MVP, he had 36 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. And I got a new OC. I think last year's Steelers team with Lamar Jackson, he struggles. Like offensive line, the whole offense, they didn't throw a whole lot. This year, better offensive line. Like then that's where you get into like it being muddled. But just like straight up, yeah, okay. But overall, the room, you put Trubisky and Rudolph in with there over, Snoop Huntley and Johnson, sure. Don't forget, though, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he follows that up 26-9. Now, the last 2 seasons have been limited, 16 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, and then 17-7. So he's not even breaking like over the last 2 years. Mind you, limited, but yeah, that's a big part of this. 16 and 17 touchdowns, man. I don't know. I'm not breaking the bank for it. So I'm not looking to belabor. And of course, I was looking up his, cap number, of course, is a little more, it's less this year. It's only like 22, and they're trying to spread it out and do these fancy things. So, but overall, it's going to end up biting them in the ass. I'll move on. The Bengals. Okay. I'll straight up take Joe Burrow. I'm not afraid to say that. But Trevor Siemian and Jake Browning, that's just again, it's like I'm looking at the backups, and I'm going to sound like such a homer because I know I just trolled on Mitch Trubisky for a long time, but I'm not talking about Mitch Trubisky being in the top 32 of the NFL here. I'm talking about being in the second 32 of the NFL here.
You know what I mean? As being a backup.
Yeah.
I think there's no bias behind. I think if you just look at the facts that Mitch Trubisky has over 50 starts in his career, former Pro Bowler, former high round pick, he's taken the team. I say taken loosely, but taking the team to the playoffs. I don't think it's very homerish at all to be like, yeah, Mitch Trubisky is one of the higher end backups in the NFL. And to your credit, I've been seeing this go around lately. I remember when you said last year when we got Mitch that could he be the possible Charlie Batch of this team for years to come, meaning he'd be like a higher end backup that is just fine being the backup because he's behind a young franchise quarterback who plays physically, I'll say it. Ben and Kenny both have that to their game. So at any moment, heaven forbid, Mitch can get the call to come in for a game or a couple snaps. And he's a great locker room presence from what I've learned. I've actually gained a lot more respect for Mitch. I know I went viral, not bragging, for the whole booing him on TV. But I do think that it says something to his character that it's no secret that Kenny Pickett is the starter and the franchise guy. He's fine with accepting the role as backup and mentor and just staying in Pittsburgh and contributing what he can to the team. And to Kenny, like these are his words. His last interview he gave talking about his extension to the media, he went out of his way to mention, yeah, Kenny and I'm paraphrasing at this point now, but he's like, yeah, Kenny and I are real close. I'm here to help Kenny. I'm glad to help Kenny in any way I can. Like I was really taken back at some of his comments. So I'm glad he's here. And I think you were ahead of a lot of people on saying he could be the next Charlie Batch, whereas, given the moment, it was either like he's either going to start or he's going to lose his job and then he'll be gone.
I took some heat on that because it's just like, oh, you think Kenny Pickett's going to be the starter and blah, blah, blah. And no, I was not on the Mitch being the long-term successor to Ben Roethlisberger deal. But as we're going to see through all of this, I think I take Mason Rudolph over everybody. I'm going to be curious if I find one quarterback QB3 that I like better, other than a situation where they may have like a collection of guys. Maybe there's a rookie and there's a couple veterans or something like that, but we'll figure that out. Deshaun Watson, Josh Dobbs, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and then Kellen Mond. I mean, obviously they didn't draft Thompson-Robinson, who just this is the Cleveland Browns, by the way, to not make the team unless he's like really bad. He was a 5th round pick. So I think is Josh Dobbs like an actual backup quarterback? Well, let's put it this way: I wouldn't want Deshaun Watson or his contract. I think dude's washed. I mean, I keep wanting to hold back saying that and just being a shotgun approach, just because I'm like, okay, he had like half a year, maybe he gets a full year in with this team and he could do. And then there's just a part of me that's like, no, like, sorry, I don't know.
I mean, he kind of sucked last year.
He did, and he doesn't play in all the dome, nice weather like facilities that he did with Houston. He doesn't have like, better wide receivers. He's got Amari Cooper, but in the same type of difference with the Texans. Like, how many shootouts were the Texans in? How much was garbage time type stuff? Like, I don't think he's got the mettle. This isn't like, this is the AFC North, man. This isn't like the Colts being perpetually bad for the longest time, or and that is perpetually, that would be the Jaguars for real. And then the Titans, whatever they might be, that's not the same. And it's just not the same. You've got Baltimore, you got Cincinnati, and you got Pittsburgh. Like, those teams are going to be very tough for Cleveland to compete with this season.
I don't feel like enough is said about Watson's year last year, about how they lost to the Steelers in their final game, or was it their final game at the end of the season?
Yeah,
it didn't pose much of a challenge, honestly. We were like one Najee Harris touchdown that Tomlin didn't challenge away from beating them handedly.
Yeah,
and I mean, Deontay at one point should have scored a touchdown and he didn't. Like, the Steelers should have beat the Browns by a lot more in that final meeting last year. And I was there in person, and Deshaun Watson, by all accounts, there wasn't a moment during the game where I was like, oh man, we're facing a really good quarterback on the other end there. I wasn't afraid at any point of Deshaun Watson. In fact, I felt like all his best plays in that game against the Steelers were scrambles. He had a couple scrambles for first downs that like took the air out of the stadium, because I think a couple of them were on third down. But needless to say, he didn't look like the same Deshaun Watson that was in Houston at all last year. And I get it, when you're off football for as long as he was, there's probably going to be a little rust to knock off. But we're talking the Steeler game that I just mentioned, that was at the end of the season. So he had all that time to knock rust off. I know he had the early suspension at the beginning of the year.
Six starts. That was his sixth start of the season. Like,
you should be in it by then. I mean, even Big Ben, by all accounts throughout his career, everyone knew that he took about 3 or 4 games to get rolling each season. By week 6, he was, prime Ben, ready to go, because he didn't play in preseason. But Watson, it was his 6th start, like you just said, and it didn't feel like at any moment that we were playing the Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans. So I would definitely rank them towards the bottom, which that'll make us sound real homerish because people will just see the Deshaun Watson name. But I think I put Cleveland at the bottom when you consider everything, like not just like, oh, well, Kenny Pickett's only going into year 2. When you consider all circumstance, I think Cleveland has like the worst quarterback room.
Yeah, in the division for sure. I mean, I wouldn't trust Josh Dobbs. I was looking up to see what Kenny Pickett's 6th.
Love Josh Dobbs and all that he did for the Steelers. A handful of memorable passes, but yeah, I wouldn't feel confident starting him for a full game. I was all in on him getting his chance with the Titans, and that didn't really work out. So.
Yeah, I was looking for Kenny Pickett's 6th start. That was 37-30 against the Bengals, 25-42, 59.5 completed. And he had a touchdown, no interceptions, sacked twice. I was just kind of curious. Yeah, I was just curious where it gets him at that point. But you take a look at, I mean, Watson had the one game with 3 touchdowns and no picks, 9 of 18, 50%.
9 of 18. And you're talking about a 7-year veteran or whatever he is compared to Kenny, which that was another thing I saw trolls on Twitter being like, oh, Steeler fans want to talk trash on Deshaun Watson. Look at Kenny Pickett's stats. It's like you're talking about a guy who had 10 starts total in his career when the NFL season was over last year versus Deshaun Watson. So it's like apples to oranges.
Oh, man. Watson's numbers were Trubisky numbers. 12 of 22 for 131 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. And then he is 26 of 42, 276, 1-1. Sacked twice, sacked 3 times against the Ravens, 18 of 28, touchdown, no picks. And then the Saints, he was 15 of 31 with a pick, 135 yards. Steelers sacked him 7 times in the finale, 19 of 29. He had 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. So, yeah.
He was running for his life versus Steelers. I remember that. Levi Wallace even got a pick.
Yeah.
He had a couple, but I mean, like, I wasn't trying to say that in a mean way towards Levi Wallace, but I mean, like, yeah, everybody was getting in on the action that game.
Yeah. And don't forget, this dude is he's hitting them. Let's see, where's this salary at right now? I'm going to pull it up just for all of you watching on YouTube. There it is. His cap hits. Oh, man. So next year, they think this is like actually a good thing. He's at almost $64 million in each of the next 3 years for a cap hit. Like, that's insane. That's just
and they think they might get,
me.
and people think they might get DeAndre Hopkins to reunite with him. Like, what are you paying him with?
Gotta tell the professor to shut his I almost used the Tommy Boy line, like, shut your whore mouth or whatever, like, because it's like he was talking about Hopkins going to the Ravens, how that'd be such a Ravens move. It's like, dude, knock it off. Don't knock it off. Like,
oh, no, man, it would be. I know what he's thinking with that, because the Ravens, more than any other team, love going after veterans that still have something in the tank, in particular ones that we all know and love as faces of the NFL, and then they turn them against us and they make us hate them, like Steve Smith, Eric Weddle, Anquan Bolden. I mean, there's plenty of examples of guys that I
forgot about Weddle, man. Ooh, I forgot about Weddle. He had such a love affair. He was flirting with Steelers Nation so much, and then went and signed with the Ravens. Like, you cock.
He was the first. He was the first JJ Watt dude that, like, openly alluded to it in the offseason and poked fun at it, and even, like, acknowledged fans and other analysis. I remember Ryan Clark just started on TV back then, and he had pitched to Eric Weddle, come play for the Steelers. We'll give you 25 and, like, all that. And Eric Weddle quote tweeted him and was like, "Oh, I would love to, brother," and all this bullshit. And, like, I remember I was at a TGI Fridays. I was sitting there with my current one of my ex-girlfriends, and she's like, "Oh, Eric Weddle signed with the Ravens." And I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" And, like, I almost left her there, because that was, like, I had never felt worse, and I couldn't believe the news. It was delivered in such a fashion that I was like, that's it, because those were the early days of me, like, staring at my phone and scrolling on Twitter, trying to be the first on Steelers news and get the early scoop. So I had been obsessed with the Eric Weddle storyline for, like, a couple months leading up to that. And to have it delivered as I'm waiting for my triple appetizer platter from TGI Fridays.
No, this is just so funny. It's like, where were you on the day that Eric Weddle signed with the Baltimore Ravens? And it's like, I could tell you something similar, though. I could tell you where I was when Ben Roethlisberger was drafted. I was at Smoky Bones over there by Robinson Town Center. That's where I was when they made the Ben Roethlisberger pick. It's funny, like, I could, like, put those together. Like, I used to sit at Applebee's a lot and watch some of the games.
Well, sports have that ability, man. It's crazy. Like, I was just talking to the bank. I was at the bank talking to this guy about, he does fantasy baseball, and I guess pitchers are a big deal. And one day I brought up Hunter Green randomly. He's a Reds pitcher, and I guess the other day he pitched really well. And I go into the bank, and he's like, "Your boy Hunter Green lit it up the other day." And I was like, "He's not my boy, dude. The only reason, like, I knew who he was because one time I was watching the Pirates. I think it was last year or 2 years ago, and he absolutely wrecked the Pirates. I'm talking, like, 12 strikeouts, like, they couldn't hit anything. So I was like, this guy must be good. Either that or we're just that bad." So this one guy, like, just sticks in my brain as, like, I know this guy's good because of one experience that I saw one time.
With the Reds, it's hard to be as bad as the Reds are too. So
exactly.
Yeah. Let's kick this around since we're moving. Now we're coasting. You know what? I still have this guy. Like, gonna just creep in, like, bam.
That's
Back
what
to
the
the lightning
people who
round.
don't watch
Bam,
are
bam,
missing.
bam,
Those
bam,
kinds of A+ effects.
That's right. Only the best. We have an unlimited special effect budget here at SCU. Why don't we do AFC North? I think this will be easier. I think obviously Josh Allen. Yeah, I would take Josh Allen. Yep, there we go. Telemarketers.
For AFC East.
Telemarketers all day long, dude. Like, driving me. What did I say? AFC East. That's because it was like whatever this goof was from. I don't even know the area.
They don't bother me, man. Telemarketers don't try me. I don't know if they're just scared of me or what, but I don't get it nearly as much as my loved ones. I hear, like, everybody I know gets, like, multiple calls a day, and it just doesn't happen to me. So I'm living off the grid over here.
Yeah, today has been like nonstop. It's just like, hey, after the holiday, like that's when you really want to bother me. on the fake Monday. It's actually a Tuesday, and now everything's doubled up on you. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, Kyle Allen, Matt Barkley. Overall, Steelers backups I like better. I'll take Josh Allen. You know what? Let's rapid fire these. We'll do the whole division. Tua Tagovailoa, Mike White, Skylar Thompson for the Dolphins. The Patriots got Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, Trace McSorley, and then there's the New York Football Jets. Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, maybe Chris Streveler's in there somewhere. Yeah, I'll take Allen. No, I don't like the Dolphins situation. No, I don't really like the Patriots situation either. And the Jets, is Aaron Rodgers, you still in love with Aaron Rodgers? You might take Aaron. Would you take Aaron for 2 years over Kenny Pickett's next 2 years? I mean,
circumstantial. I can't imagine that because Kenny's got more than 2 years. So
yes,
too hard. I would say Aaron Rodgers is an outlier of that like Jets room for sure. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer. But I think I agree with you pretty much to the T there. Josh Allen, give me him for sure. Not high on their backups. I'll pass on Tua, given everything we know about how his career has gone thus far, i.e. the concussion issues. And like, I really don't think he's not like an elite quarterback. No. I think he benefits from exciting, young, offensive-minded head coach and his weapons around him. And he's just like the perfect guy for the job, given all the talent they have around him and all the speed they have around him on offense. They essentially have like Alabama, Miami Dolphins rocking down there with him, with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. That's unreal speed they've got on the outside. So I think they are a great offensive scheme, but I'll pass on Tua and their backups. And I hate the Patriots room. I've been vocal his whole career. I don't think Mac Jones is good. The Bailey Zappi stuff was super entertaining for like 2 weeks. And that leaves you with the Jets room where it's like it's just Aaron Rodgers standing on his head. So I think Josh Allen like clearly is top of their division, and I'd take him for sure. But that's about it.
You know what? I had to grab a pen like behind me here because I'm like, you're writing the notes. I'm like, yeah, I got this here. I'm gonna go out on a limb. And do you think the Jets even make the playoffs? Like, I think it'd be really
funny if they had a Denver Broncos-esque season where, like, all the similarities are there, where it's like they sign the veteran quarterback, the Hall of Fame quarterback, the Super Bowl winner that they think is still at the top of his game to come in, and you have this good team around him, good offense, great defense, and everything should just fall into place. But, it didn't for Denver with Russell Wilson. And I guess you could say Nathaniel Hackett had a lot to do with that, but how great of a coach is Robert Saleh? Really, we don't know yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and brought Hackett back over to the Jets too. So, anything is really possible. It was just a fleeting thought, just based on. I don't think that the Jets. How about the Jets backpedaling on saying they wouldn't have taken Broderick Jones? And it's like bullshit. Like,
I know. Dude, that video they released. The context isn't even all there. They don't say at any point that Broderick Jones is viewed to them as their last resort. They just name 3 dudes that they like, and I don't believe for a second that they didn't want Broderick Jones because they don't have a good starting left tackle. So they clearly were looking there, and I guess they could have theoretically. Well, I think they did have Will McDonald on their radar, but they needed a tackle, and the Steelers got the last viewed like elite left one that was in the. There was 2 guys. Paris Johnson and Broderick Jones, and I think it's bullshit. Yeah, I don't believe that video for a second. I think the Jets definitely wanted him.
I know. I'm not going to get into the Jets' whole season. I think it's sus. I think it's very sus.
And they have to make wild card if they're going to get in because the Bills are clearly the front runner of that division, and the Dolphins and the Patriots I think will both play them hard because of going down to Miami is always hard for every team in the NFL. And then the Patriots have, the Belichick factor. So there's always going to be that. So it's definitely possible that the Jets don't even make the playoffs after all this hype. I think they've got a lot of talent, but it's an uphill battle in their division for sure.
Yeah. As you're saying all this, I get buzzed again. This is like friggin' comedy, and I love it. The new telemarketer thing, dude. It's like,
oh, you got another call?
Oh yeah. Oh, they left a voicemail earlier. Hi, this is whatever with business funding. If you could just text us a good number to get back to you, or a good email, and I could send over all of the information that you wanted. No, I don't want your information at all. No. Nope. piss up a poll. Like, seriously, lady. AFC West, it's funny. This is good segue. Russell Wilson was like my dude, like my favorite, like non-Steeler last year. I get it. They got Sean Payton now coming back. I don't care. Like, this room is just hot garbage. Jarrett Stidham. Who is this? Jarrett Guaratano or whatever? Like, and Ben DiNucci. They signed Ben DiNucci out of the XFL. So,
yeah, Russell Wilson, it's more of a what have you done for me lately scenario because I know the resume, I know the highlights, but last year was so bad, like comically bad. It got to the point where each week it was like, okay, the Broncos have to win this game, right? They have to get it this week, right? They have to get on track in some sort of way, and it just never came. It was like such a strange phenomenon to see where it took till about week 10 where everybody was finally like, no, they just suck. Like, this team is not going to get good. There's a lot going on here. Russell Wilson had a lot to do with that. So, yeah, I'm not high on their quarterback room as a whole at all.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got, I don't know.
Stidham had that really sick game, though, in prime time. I know he went off for the one game. That was like an aberration.
Hey, you got those, like Mike White. He had his stuff sent to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for throwing 4 touchdowns. It's like Nick Mullins had a game once. It's like, once you get film on people, that's really my problem with Brock Purdy when we get around to the Niners. So Patrick Mahomes, Blaine Gabbert, Shane Buechele, I don't know. He's a college free agent. Chris Oladokun. Of course, you're going to take Mahomes over everybody. Blaine Gabbert's still kicking it around the league. Yeah, whatever with that. I'm sure we probably agree mostly with that.
Mahomes trumps all.
Raiders, Jimmy Garoppolo, strong pass for me. I am not. Yeah, will he even play? Who knows? Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell. Yeah, okay. Next, next Raiders situation still bad. This is the interesting one here. Justin Herbert. Okay. That's the interesting one because Easton Stick and Max Duggan, they do nothing for me. Justin Herbert feels just like it's like Kenny Pickett clone here. Like, I feel like Kenny Pickett could easily be Justin Herbert this season. Easily. Yeah,
I see the same. I've long said he reminds me of a combination of Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert has an absolute howitzer for an arm. Like, it's a cannon. And Kenny doesn't have the type of throw power that Herbert has, but he can make all the throws like Herbert can. It's why I think he's more closer to Burrow than Herbert, but he's more athletic than Burrow is from a running standpoint, which Justin Herbert displays. Right. And I think there's a little bit of this and that. I think he's a mixture of the two of them, but I do see the Justin Herbert thing. And that whole division, I mean, Mahomes is the one, the pride and joy of the NFL, rightfully so. He's incredible. So I would take him, obviously. And Herbert, there's an argument to be made, of course, because he's still young. He's got the rocket arm. He's like what we hope Kenny can be. So by definition, I would have to take Herbert over Kenny at this point. But I do think Kenny, the similarities are there, like you said.
A little bit of a down year for Herbert. Only 25 touchdowns, 10 picks last year after throwing 31 and 38. So, he had the yards there, but he just completion percentage is great. So it's not to say I wouldn't take Justin Herbert. Maybe it's a situational type thing. How about AFC South? This should be fun. Houston Texans. Well, I mean, all of these are all like so up in the air with the exception of the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence, CJ Beathard, Nathan Rourke. Like
you got to give the top title to Lawrence in the division just based off of what we know already and the fact that he does deserve it. He had his breakout year last year, so I think Lawrence is a franchise quarterback. I think he can be elite. I think he's top, certainly on his way, top 10, and he has the potential to be more than that. And the rest, it's all potential. I love Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be sweet. I got him in my dynasty league, and I like Stroud as well. So I think they will be good if everything goes according to plan. But of that division, just give me the Steelers quarterback room.
Yeah, Texans, I was kind of interested in this because it's like, okay, your starter, I would assume CJ Stroud. Davis Mills, is he your backup or is Case Keenum? Because, like, I might take Case Keenum over Mason Rudolph. It might be one of the few exceptions where I'm thinking just an experienced guy that could probably get the job done for sure. You know what he is. You know what I mean? It's just like a Charlie Batch. But if it's Davis Mills as the QB3 there ain't no way in hell I want Davis Mills. I don't want him anywhere near the field.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
Not a fan.
Goodbye and good night. Anthony Richardson should start Gardner Minshew as a backup. He'd be a fun backup for the Steelers. Sam Ellinger, nah, that's not going to happen either. And then, of course, Ryan Tannehill, Will Levis, and Malik Willis. Like, it's just like throw a dart. Let's see who's going to be throwing the ball this year. That's going to be it's going to cost somebody a job, unfortunately, I think, in Tennessee. That could be a disaster. So we'll see what Mike Vrabel's got.
Hated to have been Titans fans during this whole Ryan Tannehill run, because respect to him, but I hate nothing more than thinking about being stuck in that quarterback purgatory with a guy who's like, oh, he's kind of good sometimes. You can win with him, but he's nothing special. And like, it's Andy Dalton in his prime. I would have hated to be stuck in that situation. So good for them for acknowledging that he wasn't the long-term franchise guy, because they got him at an older state in his career, but time's dwindling on Ryan Tannehill's days as a Titan and as a stable quarterback in the NFL. So they at least recognized that and realized, hey, Will Levis fell to us in the second round. He's got starter potential. May as well take him. The Malik Willis experiment has not worked. I don't think he's been given like the best shake. I think the coaching around him isn't very good. I don't think they know what to do with him, honestly. So I don't know what his NFL career will turn out to be. It doesn't look good right now, obviously, with the Levis addition. But yeah, that whole room is just like, every guy's so different. Tannehill's the veteran who's like kind of the stopgap guy, good at times, but more of a game manager. Malik Willis, the complete project, basically a bust right now, but still has the athletic traits. And then Will Levis, who's like the rookie. So they got a lot of high variance in that room.
You put Malik Willis in San Francisco and he'd probably do well. That's just the way I think.
True.
Kyle Shanahan, there's certain quarterback whispers. Not Bruce Arians. He just gets them hurt. They just whisper.
I bet they wish they had him last year. Malik Willis.
Cowboys, Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush, Will Greer. It's tough, man.
I like Dak, but not like enough to say that I take him over Kenny right now. I think Dak is kind of like, what have you done for me lately again? It's not much.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the rest of the Steelers room over Cooper Rush, Will Greer, Dak Prescott. That's a push. Daniel Jones, Terod Taylor, Tommy DeVito. I'm going Steelers. Like, I'm sorry. Daniel Jones. They found a little something with him using his legs and stuff, but I don't know. System will help him, but long term, I don't really feel it.
Tyrod and Mitch are like very similar career arcs, or not like me. Mitch was the higher pick, but given the two of them, how they're similar in that way, just give me the better one, and that's Mitch of the two. Mitch is better than Tyrod Taylor, and I would take Kenny over Dak, given everything we know right now and like towards the future. Dak's a turnover machine. I say I like him, which I do, but last year was pretty bad for Dak. And then you got Will Greer, Mountaineers' finest. I haven't been able to keep up with his much.
Well, that's because there isn't much of one. But 15 picks for Dak last year, 23 touchdowns to 15 picks. That is a career high, 15. He's off and on each year. He's had 11 and 13 in the past too. So seems like he gets into double digits. Although double digits isn't necessarily the worst thing. The only guy that doesn't throw picks was like Peyton Manning or even Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is like uncanny. That's the biggest thing that his legacy is probably doesn't throw any interceptions. So we'll see how that turns out. Jalen Hurts. Okay. I could take Jalen Hurts over Kenny. I could comfortably say that. I would not take Marcus Mariota. I'm still on the record as saying he's a bum. And then Ian Book. Those are the three for the Eagles, and we'll just round out the division here. I don't even know what order you put these in. Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett, Jake Fromm. Yeah, all due respect to Jacoby. Like Jacoby, I could sympathize with Jacoby even over Trubisky, I think. But
sure.
I would not take Mariota over Trubisky. Terod Taylor over Trubisky, push there maybe. But Sam Howell. What do you do with Sam Howell? No, sorry, I don't think. No.
I'm woke to that. I don't think they're really going to try this year too much. I think they're looking at next year's quarterback class because, what did they see from Sam Howell that was so inspiring to think, we're going to give this kid a chance to start? I know he had a somewhat decent start, but no way. I think it's plausible to believe. I think that he'll even if he starts this year, he'll lose his job at some point to Jacoby Brissett, and like that'll be how they finish the year, and then they end up with one of the top quarterbacks next year.
He's not even going to start the season, and then they're going to, like play around with who's going to start and shell game at quarterback, and that never works. It's never going to work. He's going to have to be bad, and they don't have enough patience, and you got to wonder new owners, and then what else is going to end up happening. Ron Rivera.
They're going to be bad this year. I'm almost 99% sure. I mean, Chase Young, 5th-year option declined.
Yeah,
they're not in a good state of affairs.
They're gonna tear the whole thing down. NFC North, Bears, Justin Fields, PJ Walker, Nate Peterman. Give me the Steelers.
That's close.
It's easy.
It's close. As a Fields guy, it's close.
Fields guy. I mean, I'm a Buckeyes guy. I still am not feeling it. I see. This is the. You got to be able to still pass from the pocket. I don't mind the whole fad, the running quarterbacks, the athletic guys. That's what gets me hung up on Lamar too. Like Hurts can do that. Like I think
Fields can be Hurts.
He could be. We'll see. I mean, the Bears are just. It's like situation. The Bears are just. Are the Bears ever good? Or they ever have a good situation? Like, look what they did. Thank you for the Chase Claypool trade. Maybe he'll become wide receiver 1. I don't know. Maybe in the XFL. The Lions, Jared Goff. I'm still not sold on Jared Goff. Apparently they aren't either. They drafted Hendon Hooker, and they got Nate Sudfeld back there. So I'm thinking Hooker could be like the 2 there. And
for sure.
But I wouldn't want. Do you want Hooker? Would you want Hooker backing up Kenny? Nah.
No. Give me the veteran.
Kenny over Goff too. I think.
Respect Jared Goff, but no, I'd rather have Kenny. I'm loud and proud. I need my quarterback to move good kind of guy, and Goff just isn't the best mover.
Minnesota Vikings: Kirk Cousins, Nick Mullins, and Jaron Hall, rookie, 5th-round rookie. Yeah, give me the Steelers slate as well.
Steelers.
And now it gets fun. Backups are Sean Clifford, rookie, Danny Etling, and your starter, number 10, for the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. And there are some people standing so hard for Jordan Love. Do the Packers get it right again like they did with the Favre to Rodgers transition? I mean, it's going to be tough for Love just based on, like, who's he throwing to? Like, I need to look up and down that roster again, because that was part of the problem last year with Aaron Rodgers, who, if we still think he's diminished returns, I don't know what Love can do with that same group.
Yeah, I know they took 2 tight ends.
Yeah,
two of the highly rated tight ends in the draft. I'm really drawing a blank on the receiving room as a whole right now, to be honest with you, which is crazy, because like normally receiver is one of the easier positions to remember who they have and who's playing where. But I'm drawing a real.
I got it for you, and that's the same thing I did. I had to pull it up. Christian Watson.
Oh yeah,
Romeo
Watson.
Dobbs.
Okay, well that's my bad for freaking Watson for sure.
Jaden Reed. So they got a lot of young guys, but none of it was really memorable with Aaron Rodgers. Will it be memorable with Jordan Love? Tough, dude. It's really tough.
Who's behind Christian Watson?
Well, they got so it's Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, and then they also drafted Dontavian Wicks and Grant Dubose this year as well. They took 3 wide receivers. They're just throwing everything that they got at the fan. They got a bunch of guys coming in that are bodies that they signed off the streets too. So other than that, then your tight ends are Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. So they got some new bodies there that could be a security blanket maybe for Jordan Love. They got the run game with Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon. That would probably work out pretty well. But yeah, like I'm not confident enough that Jordan Love in a Steelers jersey would work out so well either. So
no, yeah. The point of the question is, I would take Steelers quarterback room for sure, given the state of affairs. But the receiver room, they're very similar to Jordan Love, his receivers, where it's kind of like all potential and all hype and all fans hoping that it'll work out. I think Watson's certified good. I think he proved that last year.
Yeah,
coming out strong to end the year. But Romeo Dubes, he was like a camp darling for them, I saw, but he didn't really do much last year at all. People thought he would explode onto the scene, given all the camp reports and all the preseason games, but he didn't do much. And I like Jaden Reed coming out of Michigan State. I had him pegged as a Steelers guy potentially. So I think he can be good, but it's all potential and all ceiling and all hearsay right now. So I no clue how that's going to turn out. It could be great. It could be terrible, and they could be blowing it all up soon.
Yeah. Hey, NFC South, much like the AFC South. look at this group with so you got the Falcons, Panthers, Saints, and Bucks, right? Desmond Ridder. I should preface this by saying the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Ridder, take some notes. Taylor Heineke, Logan Woodside. Blah.
Yeah.
Panthers. Okay, Bryce Young. Man, they spent a lot to get Bryce Young. You better hope that Bryce Young is the dude. I don't have an opinion one way or the other on that. He could be great or it could be really bad, but it's everything else that surrounds that. See, Kenny Pickett falls to 20 and people lambast the Steelers over just sitting there and letting the guy fall to him. And this is why, because now you can put all kinds of other stuff around him. This Panthers team, they're going to have to hope Bryce Young is not only the dude, but makes like a lot of other mediocre players that they're going to have to fill roles with. Undrafted, late draft picks, whatever. That Andy Dalton and Matt Corral are the guys behind Bryce Young. Yeah, I mean Andy. And see, my problem with Andy Dalton is not so much that he could be like we mentioned, a Charlie Batch, but that dude just like in the face of adversity he throws the ball into like where you were sitting, booing Mitch Trubisky. Like it's right up in the stands, and I've never been a fan of his game. Saints have Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, and Jake Hayner, and the Buccaneers have Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, and John Wofford. And yeah, I don't like the Buck situation. The Saints situation is interesting to me because of Carr and Winston. Like I'm not a big Derek Carr or Jameis Winston guy, but you've got
Saints have the best room in the division.
Oh, by far, easily, and that's only just on two dudes. So, yeah, I still like the Steelers situation over all those. It's not really being too homerish. I know there were some people that were like, "Hey, what about Derek Carr? You think you're gonna have Derek Carr in Pittsburgh?" I'm like, no.
I didn't want him for his price tag. I think Derek Carr is solid, but I wouldn't want to pay him what he's making.
But he's mid. He's a very mid guy. And if you think at least Kenny would at the very least be mid, I think Kenny could be at least a middling quarterback. So like that's all the more. It's Derek Carr, man. I mean, let's remind everyone what Derek Carr has been looking like. Derek Carr with Devontae Adams last year. Let's see he got benched eventually. 24 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. It's almost the same as the year before, 23 and 14. I mean, his season was just bad. Like 3,500 some yards passing. I mean, it was a really bad year. 15 games that he played. He's been a 4,000 yard passer and about a 20 TD to around double digit type picks over his career. So he's very kind of like I would take Derek Carr over like an Andy Dalton, but I don't know if Derek Carr is like an actual starter. Like, I mean, to me, that's like, I think Mitch Trubisky could do a lot of the things maybe that Derek Carr does. I know that sounds like sacrilege. Just not a fan. So
yeah. I mean, I don't like the Panthers room really at all. I like Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud more than Bryce Young. It's funny that the Panthers gave up so much to go get Bryce Young to me because I like the other two more. We'll see how much I know, though. So I'll pass on the Panthers room. Definitely passing on Andy Dalton because it relates back to the Tyrod Taylor point that I made. Him, Tyrod Taylor, Mitch, they're all in the same like bridge quarterback room, like group. And just give me the best one of that group if I have to take one. And I believe that to be Mitch, given his age, his athleticism he still has, his mobility he still has, experience. I would rather have Mitch than Andy Dalton. Corral's not going to work out. The Saints, I think they have the best room in the division, but that's not saying much. And the Bucks, I'll pass on the Bucks too because I don't know even if Baker or Trask will be the starter, and whoever doesn't win that job, I mean, that isn't the best sign of things to come for your NFL career if you can't beat out the other guy.
Dude, I'm jumping to the last division here, and I'm like, is this right? Do the Arizona Cardinals have 5 quarterbacks on their roster right now?
I only know 2, I think. Oh, no, they have Colt McCoy, right?
Well, yeah, they still have good old Colt.
McCoy, Trace McSorley, Kyler Murray.
No. We had McSorley somewhere else that I sorely missed. David Blau, Jeff Driscoll, Colt McCoy, Kyler Murray, and Clayton Tune. Like,
that's where Clayton Tune went. He came here for a visit.
Man, that is a motley crew of quarterbacks. That is a legit definition. Jack of all trades, master of none, particularly behind Kyler Murray. I mean, Colt McCoy is still. I even liked him when he was in Cleveland. I mean, what was he, like a 3rd round pick? I mean, he still carved out his role in his career for what it is, and he's been serviceable. That might be one.
Yeah, he was playing when James Harrison was collecting all those fines out one year.
Yeah. Knocked him.
That's how old he is.
I hated that helmet hit. It was like Harrison just hit him like with his face mask, like he was breathing too heavy on him and got fined. And people will still defend that to this day and tell me I'm a homer. And you're absolutely right. I am a homer, so too bad. My biased opinion.
No, Colt McCoy has a sweet life, dude. It's the American dream of pro sports is being a backup quarterback in the NFL and just having a career for like 10 plus years. You throw like 30 passes a year, if that, and you collect multiple multi-million-dollar contracts. That's, man, you're living good, boy.
2010. He's been in the league since 2010, man. So he's got 2, 4, 7, 12 years in the NFL, man. Going on 13. And last year, still his completion percentage was okay, but 1 touchdown to 3 picks. Year before he was 3-1. He plays way too much for being a backup, to be completely honest. But when does he graduate to be GOAT McCoy? That's the question. Go from Colt to GOAT. I don't know. I'd be okay for my QB. That's a guy I would probably take QB3 over Mason Rudolph. I'd be comfortable with it if he wanted to be there. But he's right now, I don't know what he is. Like Jeff Driscoll, David Blow, Clayton Tune. This team, boy, yikes. Glad it's not the Steelers. How can you be we do this. You think we'd do a podcast every week if we were Cardinals fans? Like, that would be tough. So tough to do,
man. Talking a lot about video games and whether or not they're detrimental to a player's development. We had to do that for a little bit with Juju, but yeah, if it's the quarterback, that's all we're talking about. And then
put that clause in his contract and then had to backtrack because of bad PR. I would have been like, who cares about the public response to this? Like,
the whole Kyler Murray experience in Arizona has felt rather forced and rather like the whole team hasn't been on board at the same time with anything. Even though he went number 1 overall when he went, the whole thing has just felt kind of like there's always some piece to it that isn't working, whether it's Kyler Murray's attitude, his off the field, his on the field, Cliff Kingsbury being a terrible coach, their GM getting in trouble, like them getting docked picks, whatever it's been.
Oh, now everybody's jumping ship. Yeah. Drop DeAndre Hopkins, JJ Watt retires to get out of town. Like it feels like a sinking.
The Hollywood Brown trade, which I don't know why they did that.
And supposedly what now? Isaiah Simmons might be on the trade block too. And I know everybody wants everybody else's players. Like I don't see that happening the way the Steelers have maneuvered around the inside linebackers. But let's stick on quarterbacks. LA Rams, Matt Stafford, Stetson Bennett, Brett Ripien. I liked Stafford. I knew what Stafford would probably bring to the table if the Steelers would have made that move, and he was still young enough, and got them that Super Bowl. But now it's like, does this dude have, it's the same thing as Lamar. Like, does he have like some legitimate concerns with his back and everything else? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, back serious, dude. The old Tony Romo. I liked Stafford, ED, past tense. I liked Stafford. I thought that he always had it in him. I'm happy for him in his Super Bowl. But yeah, you don't want to mess around with the back. At this point, I wouldn't take Stafford. I wouldn't touch him, as a lot of people say, with a 10-foot pole because of those injuries. They say he's fine and good to go, but I'll pass. And Stetson Bennett, I don't know, winner at Georgia, but that's all I really have to say about him. I'm not too this way or that way if he's going to end up having a successful NFL career or not. The cards are certainly stacked against him, but been that way for his whole career, so we'll see how that goes.
I mean, even the year before with the Rams, 41 touchdowns to 17 picks. I mean, that's led the league. I may have led the league in 2021. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, he lets it rip.
Yeah, and then 10-8 in the 9 games last year. I mean, it was not pretty, and if he's not in there right now, that room is a mess. Oh, roster's a mess. They even have draft picks? I don't even know. I know
they got a 7th.
I'm gonna finish with the low-hanging fruit last. Yeah. Geno Smith and Drew Lock are over in Seattle with Holton Eilers. Is that how you say his name? I don't know. East Carolina guy that's probably there. Like some of these teams don't even have a legit QB3. You know,
Eilers. Oh man, I'm not doing him justice right now. He won me some money this year, dude, playing for ECU. He's got it, dude. He's a gamer. I like that quarterback. Can't remember his freaking name though right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, he was good at ECU. For ECU, he was good.
Yeah. But a QB3 situation. Again, I don't think I had anybody like this whole. It definitely wasn't Nate Peterman. It's about the only other team. There was one left, the San Francisco 49ers, to go through. By the way, Trace McSorley's in New England right now. So
that's right.
Yeah. You know, they move around so much. I said Case Keenum, depending on where he's at, because it could be Davis Mills. Davis Mills might not even be on that team. So who's the starter in San Francisco? Is it Trey Lance? Will it be Brock Purdy? Are neither of them ready to go? All that stuff they gave up for Trey Lance, he might not ever play it down in a San Francisco uniform. Brock Purdy, I don't know. Has he got the same thing that Ben had going on? And I still think if there's film on him, like the bloom comes off that rose a little bit, but he's got great talent and an awesome coaching mind around him that can maybe overcome some of those things. And you got Sam Darnold. He's out there. He might be starting week 1. That room is interesting enough to say the least. If they're healthy, do you take that over the Steelers trio? That's it's hard to. You can make arguments in different cases. For me, like a lot of people will say, well, you still don't know really Kenny Pickett just off of 1 year. That is absolutely true, and I must say that in this show. And you're thinking about potential and the way that season ended with them. And could Brock Purdy be a little more? We don't know what Trey Lance or who Trey Lance is or what he can do, and we do know Sam Darnold is probably middling in the territory of Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, despite the draft pedigree. I mean, Mitch was the top quarterback, number 2 pick overall, don't forget, of the Chicago Bears. So, Darnold could be in that same territory. I like the Steelers. Oh, Brandon Allen's out there too. They probably have him on this roster just by virtue of somebody might be on PUP list or something, or IR. Would have to be PUP list and then or something. I'm trying to think. Obviously, you can't start the season on injured reserve or your season's over. So, that's the 49ers room. You put Kenny Pickett in San Francisco, he's going to light it up. So we'll put it that way.
Oh, yeah. He's perfect for Kyle Shanahan's offense because he can move. He's got the legs for it. He'd probably rush for 1,000 yards if he put his mind to it under Kyle Shanahan. But he's not going anywhere. He's ours. So too bad. And I would pass on the. You can't have him. Sorry, not for sale. I wouldn't take the Niners quarterback room per se because whereas I typically would like the type of quarterback and the type of ceiling that Trey Lance presents, he hasn't been able to get on or stay on the field, and that's very alarming going into year. What is this? 3 of his career? 4, 3.
3.
So. He needs to get going here at some point, or he's never going to get going. Sam Darnold, Mitch, that's a wash. Sam Darnold's the last member of that club I just mentioned of these guys who can start in a pinch, have experience. You can sell yourself on them winning a couple games for you, but if they're going to start for the year, that's not what you want. So I consider Darnold and Mitch kind of in the same category. Then you got Purdy, and he's kind of an anomaly. It's hard to say what his career is going to be. They're all intertwined, If by chance Lance does start and is good to go and he plays well, we may never see Purdy again. But if Darnold starts and he sucks, I think they'll be more inclined to lean on Purdy than Lance, given what they saw last year and the success their team had with Purdy. I know that John Lynch and other higher-ups may be saying, hey, we took this kid very high in the draft. I want to see him on the field. But you get what you get on the field, and if they can win with Purdy, there may not be reason to put Lance out there. So that whole room is just one big question mark. I'm happy for Geno Smith up in Seattle, but I don't like the rest of that room. And I think Geno turns back into a pumpkin here sooner rather than later.
You do.
Yes.
Wow. I don't know that he had it's somewhat of a Cinderella moment. I think he was effective enough. That's what's tough to say, because like when he was playing with the Jets, those teams were awful. Like, it's just, again, it's situation in coaching and everything. And I think he was in bad situations and then waited forever to actually get a chance. He's in there. Now, does that mean he's going to be any better than, like, will he be a top 15 quarterback? He's somewhere in the middle of the pack. I think he's just serviceable.
That's why I said I think he'll turn back into a pumpkin. I thought last year was good, but I don't think it's going to be sustainable.
It won't match that then.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think at this point in his career you can expect Geno to just be your franchise quarterback now all of a sudden. That's why I think the Seahawks were heavily in relations with, whenever you would look at mock drafts or talk to anybody during the draft time, they were marked like a bullseye for one of the top quarterbacks to land, but they just didn't pick one. I think next year they will, probably, depending on where they are in the draft. The Raiders room is a joke. I'm sorry, that's the AFC. Who am I missing? Oh, the Rams. The Rams room, I already touched on them. So
the Raiders room is a joke, though. We can mention them
in a spot where I just take them.
Sorry, I was going to say the Raiders room is a joke, so you can mention them again.
Yeah. Just to circle back on that, the Raiders room sucks.
Yeah. So did we say anything about the Raiders? How about the Browns? Did we say anything about them too? Geno Smith last year, 572 passes attempted. He threw for 42-82, 69.8% completed. Nice. 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I expect those touchdowns to come down. I expect those interceptions to go up. But I still, 4,000-yard passer, if he's going to they just added someone to that room. Hold on a second.
Yeah, those are Kenny's numbers after this year. I'm yippee skippy.
Hold on. Geno Smith. I got to see. I know they added someone else to Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Oh, how could I freaking forget this? Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's gonna be kind of hard to not expect Geno Smith to do something with that, but just based on, and it's Geno Smith. You're talking about West Virginia superstars.
Oh yeah,
there you go. Yeah,
I respect Geno. I'm happy for Geno. I don't think it is necessarily. I'm not taking anything away from him, but it's only natural to think. I mean, it's obvious he's into his 30s. He had his best year last year by far. I don't see long-term success there or a long-term relationship with Seattle. He may very well retire there or eventually lose his job to a high-drafted rookie, but I don't view him as like, oh, they got a franchise quarterback now. He's good, but nothing that,
He's only 32. He'll be 33 in October, and Matt Stafford's 35.
So do you think he's going to be good or not, Geno Smith?
I struggle to put. I'd have to
You're playing both ends of the fence here.
I know. And hold on. And then Tannehill is going to be 35 in July. Let me see. I'm looking up and down the depth charts here at potential starters. So let's see. You got to have like a top 5, top 10. You got to have you got to have Josh Allen in there. You got to have Burrow. You got to have Patrick Mahomes. Let's throw Lamar in there. There's 4 already, right? Herbert. No, Garoppolo doesn't go in there. So that's 5. Prescott 6. Hurts 7.
T-Law.
Who?
Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, hold on. I didn't mention Rodgers. That's for 8. I'm just trying to get my top 10 here. He could sneak into top 15. He'll be top 20. He won't be basement. He won't be a basement guy. No, I'm not mentioning Watson. I didn't say Kenny's going to be top 10 either, but I think Kenny could probably sneak into that top 15.
For sure.
Because you got like the next tier of guys that they could have, or maybes, like Tua, like you were saying earlier, or even Kenny, or hell, I'll throw Watson in that category just because he could like turn around. But there's guys Wilson could turn it around. Who knows?
Yeah, Russell Wilson.
Jimmy G, no. Daniel Jones, can he repeat? No. Who starts in Washington? Jordan Love. Like there's a lot of question mark guys. Like Kirk Cousins is probably a top 15 guy, but he's probably never like 9 on that list. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he might be 10th right now today as we sit here right now at this second, but that's with like we're anticipating guys that are like 11, 12, 13, 14 to possibly pass him because they're younger dudes who are only getting better, whereas Cousins has reached his ceiling for sure, especially with how he's been kind of revitalized with Justin Jefferson. I don't expect him getting much better than what he is, but guys who are ranked behind him can certainly pass him, like Kenny Pickett.
Okay, I'll come with the heat. A little bit of a hot take here. I'm going to say Geno could be best in this division depending on what happens in San Francisco. Because if they start out with Sam Darnold, I mean, you still got Matt Stafford, who he's got Cooper Kupp. That's about it.
I could see it.
But Kyler Murray, like, nah, I'm not feeling Kyler Murray. I'm feeling like that whole team is just on the downswing, and I don't want to belabor this or drag this out any longer. But you asked me,
Kyler Murray's too average to worse seasons away
Gino's still
from
average,
being an afterthought.
Yeah, Gino is still average. I think Gino's still average. I wouldn't want to. It's hard to put your eggs in the basket of like a 30-something quarterback that has never ascended into this major role just until there's a lot of one-hit wonders. You know what I mean? And to think that he's just going to be the future. And his contract kind of alludes to that if they were to have a bad year, they're going to fall back and, like you said, they'll end up taking somebody. But yeah, as far as like journeymans and everything else like that, you look at the rest of the NFC. Gino, I mean, we were just talking about just the top 10s. Dak's above him. Jalen, Daniel Jones could edge him. Justin Fields could edge him. Jared Goff is still in that middle kind of territory. Love, we don't know. Cousins, we mentioned. Ritter, no. He's underneath Gino right now. Sorry. Bryce Young, complete unknown. Derek Carr, middling. So you got a lot of middling. You know what I mean? And that's the NFL.
The AFC's way better than the NFC group.
Yeah. And I hate that because you're looking at the Steelers' fortunes. You're like, can they turn it around? Well, guess what, folks? That's why we might do more shows this summer. We'll talk about that. 17-0 or 22-0 or whatever it is.
Hey, the Steelers play their best against the best competition, so may as well have the better quarterbacks over here.
Yeah. Hey, I'm looking at the sun there, and you're starting to like. You almost look like I don't know, like the shadow, the way it's just coming off of you. It's crazy. Well, thanks for joining me, bro. We're over. This is good. This will give people something to watch for the rest of the week as they recover from their holiday weekend. I think we will table till next week, and I'll have you on again. We'll find something else to talk about. We're itching to maybe talk about wide receivers again and some swag.
I can always talk wide receivers. I can always talk about the swag.
Wide receiver rooms. That's next. Me and you, wide receiver rooms. We'll do some comparing because we've talked about some post-draft stuff, but we've already talked about I know we got into it already with the Allen Robinson trade, and the Steelers got a pretty deep room, and we'll just have to talk about who's going to actually make the cut because they're going to have to make some tough decisions. They keep 5, they keep 6. It'll be some good stuff.
We want 6.
We will get 6
again, man. They fell off that train recently. They've been going 5 lately. I want 6 wide receivers. This room's packed. We can keep 6 this year.
I'm with you.
And in closing, I just want to say I didn't get to mention this at all because I haven't been on since like 3 weeks. But the Marcus Golden edition, I love that.
Yeah.
Very excited that he's a part of the team. I have long thought that we need a third edge rusher who can come off the bench and not only spare TJ and Highsmith for a couple of snaps a game, a handful of snaps a game, but also start for you in a pinch if they have to start, and it won't be a severe drop-off in talent. The Steelers, until that point, it's been a bunch of nobodies behind the two of them. I hate to be so blunt about it and be so harsh about it, but it's true. You know, Melvin Ingram was the best thing we had, and that clearly didn't work out. So ever since losing that presence, I've been hoping the Steelers would be able to bring in somebody else that could provide good snaps behind TJ and Highsmith. And I think Golden will do that for you. I saw today in his first OTAs, he's wearing number 54. I like that.
Goofy number. Hi, it's Katie with Direct Funding. I was giving you a call to update you on the business funding. Actually, I'm hoping to catch you so I could send you an email with the details. It's actually my cell phone number. This is actually the same script you used earlier, Katie. Sorry, like 3 hours ago. Crazy stuff, folks. That'll do it for us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. See if we care. If we don't, we'll respond to it, and that'll do it. I know I'm out of stuff. This is like the dead period, and I was hoping that the Steelers would sign somebody like Quan Alexander. I mean, I'm not a Marcus Golden. That makes me happy. I'm totally good. I'm good with that. So,
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love all the things I'm seeing, but it was like, now you got like the dumb stuff that's coming out. It's like Mark Robinson, he intercepted Kenny Pickett during practice. It's like, my eyes cannot roll as far, like I do the Undertaker, WWE's Undertaker impression with how far they roll in the back of my skull. I could see my own brain. Like, it's just the stupid stuff that you see. It's
if they're good Kenny things, I like to hear them.
Yeah. Oh, of course. We're all about that. It's like, well, maybe that makes Mark Robinson sound really good, or maybe it's like just really blown out of context and it's practice. Kyle Shanahan, I just still never forget. He was really ripping on reporters, air quotes here, and the stats they were keeping for practice. Like, you're keeping practice stats. It's just like so bad. All right, folks, that'll do it for us. My name's Joe. His name's Zach. Till next time, we encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.